let's start by talking about team news issues, shall we? David McGoldrick was carried off the other day. How is he today?
Yeah, unfortunately, looks a sore one for Dids. Naturally, you saw him limp off the other night. He's going for a scan this afternoon, and we'll obviously find out in the next 24 hours. But it's another disappointment on the back of Ryan. You know, Ryan being out for a little while. It looked well. Obviously, he's going to be after hitting a good bit of form. I thought, you know, Dids is such an integral part of the group, popular lad. And I think you saw the other night, you know, just found little pockets of space for sets up the first goal, put Silly through second half, you know, and so yeah, it's disappointing for him and it's disappointing for the group, but it looks like I think he'll be out for a wee while, unfortunately. But as with all injuries, it opens the way up for somebody else.
And is that somebody else possibly then Jebison now, in terms of coming back into the squad and proving his worth? Yeah,
of course. Yeah, he obviously did well out on loan. The reason for bringing him back was because obviously, you know, we got a couple of injuries, but also to work, you know, to look forward to get Jack and the staff working with him, you know, for the coming, you know, the rest of the season, but certainly the future ahead. And he's, you know, he's come back. He's found. I mean, the standard of training in the last few weeks has been really high, and he's. You know, he's getting there, he's doing well, he's learning every day, he's enjoying himself. So yeah, that'll be a natural progression for him to get into the squad now, naturally, yeah.
Because I suppose it's about that balance, isn't it, between getting him back to improve him with, great respect, better players at Sheffield United, as opposed to hindering the progress he's made because he's not going to play every week now.
Yeah, and that's why it was always a dilemma, you know, originally, whether we were going to call him back or not, because he was getting, you know, first team football and he was progressing in that. But it's, you know, it's a two-headed coin, if you like, because for him to come back with us now and see how obviously Heike and the staff want him to play and want him to work, it's a learning process for him. But he's certainly, I've not seen a lot of him prior to him being back to training, so it's been good working with him. He's sharp, he's energetic, he's hungry, he wants to learn, which all kids should do. And he's certainly one for the future.
While we're talking about injuries and team selection, etc., how soon might it be before Osborne and Stevens are back and available for you?
Next few weeks, I would hope. Ozzy's out on the grass, you know, working really hard. So he's, you know, I would think ahead of Ender at this moment in time. Ender had a minor setback with a little issue, but hopefully nothing that'll keep him out too long. Because they're both, you know, valuable members of the squad as well. And I think when it gets to this stage, it's just having a little bit of luck with certain things and not pushing people too hard. Obviously, we take a lot of notice of the medical team and the group we've got behind the scenes. And sometimes supporters don't see that, you know, when you're picking teams. And, you know, there's certainly maybe little issues with certain players where, with all the games we've got coming up, if you play them too much, then it can set them back. So we've got to be careful with that. But both of them are coming along. Like I say, Ender just had a minor setback. Hopefully he'll be in the next few weeks. Ozzy's now, you know, getting closer.
And yet, as Paul was talking about after the match the other day, well, I'm going to use the word experiment, but using Baldock on the left-hand side of things, do you, given the fact that it went really well, you think that might be a viable long-term thing?
Possibly. I think the key is, and it's with any, if you're getting a successful group, it's not necessarily the 11 that are starting, it's the ones who are in behind that pushing it. And what we've seen, certainly last month, the guys that have not been starting, like your Fleckies, Sander, Dids at times, certainly George, as you mentioned, and a couple of other ones, have all been doing the maximum in training. And when you look at it, you think, you know, they're training so hard, you know, they deserve a little go at it. And I think that was the case with George. You know, he's been at it. It's difficult for George because I think in the last 7 or 8 years he's always been a first team regular wherever he's been. Obviously he appreciates Bogues is playing ever so well. But he keeps coming in, day out, as the rest of them do, and training to a level which pushes everyone else, which is only good for the squad and only good for the club. So, yeah, I think he did. Listen, you know when you're playing a right foot on the left, it's going to be a different dynamic. We get that. I think was it Dennis Irwin who played most of his career for, Man United as a right-footed left back and showed how good a player he is. And George is, he's very competent. So, but likewise, I don't think. See, we never pick teams, to be clever and smart and just to try to fox the opposition. We do it for a reason, and certain games will think, a left-footed left wing back will give us more, prominence down one side, or George coming in on a certain side. So, but it's something that you say with a success. I think it worked quite well. But the old statement that I've used many times in my career, and horses for courses. So we will see. But he did himself no harm, that's for sure.
A theme throughout this, 12 months, I suppose, for a lot of supporters has been Sander Berge and his development. Now, clearly, a lot of his development has been hindered by injury.
Yeah.
But perhaps because of the price tag, perhaps because of what he achieved before when he wasn't at Sheffield United, there was an expectation placed on his shoulders as to what he might turn out to be like.
Yeah.
So how would you assess, as someone obviously who knows that part of the pitch like the back of his hand, that development then, and where he's at?
Yeah, I've got to say, when I came in, I looked at the group. I didn't know much of Sander. Obviously, I knew Flecky, I knew Connor, I knew Ollie. But them four in the middle of the park, and you can throw maybe Morgan in that, can maybe drop into that area depending how we play in there. The quality that they've shown since in training, which we see, up close and personal, has been outstanding, I've got to say that. And the standard is really, really high. I don't think I can say improve or help. I can help, likes of Flecky and Ollie Norwood and people like that. But with Sander being a bit of a younger one, and having to try to make him play in a different way to where he's played before, he's always played maybe as a holder and a sitter, and we've been playing him as a one who can get forward a little bit more, and it suits his game. He's very strong in possession, but I think the key is getting not necessarily run of games, but a block of training where he can keep his standard and keep his fitness and show how powerful he can be. But he has got a lot of good qualities, there's no doubt about that. And whether he's better in a three, and playing on the right hand side and getting forward, which is a bit different for him. So we've done a little bit of analysis work with him and things. He's a switched on kid, and again, he's another one who's pushing himself day in, day out to be involved, and that's good for everyone, as I said. But no, he's certainly got a lot of good qualities as a footballer. Forget the price tag. But he's knocking on the door, and I've got to say, I keep going back to the training. And I'll be honest, if we're not at it, they'll know they're at it. We're not just going to blow smoke up the backsides, if you like, to say they're great and everything. But the standard of the level of training. We watched this session, I think it was last Thursday, and I says to Eke and Jack afterward, I'd pick 6 different starting lineups of West Brom because not Thursday, obviously, Monday it would be, because everyone's going, wow, that was good. So they've got to keep that going. Obviously, the most important thing is what they do on a Saturday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday. But as long as, the level in training is pushing everyone, that's what we're after.
You mentioned, and Paul has obviously mentioned at various different times about that specific coaching, so Jack with the forwards, etc. How kind of... sort of forensic is that? Is it as it goes? Are players pulled out and talked to?
Yeah.
Sessions. How does it work?
Yeah, it's worked well. Jack's terrific at what he does. It's not just the strikers, Jack. You try to work patterns with the wing backs getting forward, the midfielders making forwards. We'll interlink sometimes, but I think, in fairness, I think Heggie's been terrific from day one, letting us know as staff and the players know what's required and what we're after, and we all know what we're after, what we're aiming for, be it in training sessions, be it on the game, be it analysis meetings, whatever. So yeah, it's a bit of everything, but as we keep it, our aim is to create as many opportunities as we can. And I've been like that as a coach and manager throughout my career. I know Heggie's been the same and Jack's been the same. Getting balls in the box. I think we're second in the league for the most crosses into the penalty box, be it cutbacks, driven, whatever it is. I think if you look at the standard and the quality of goal that we've scored since we've come in, it's been exceptional. The other night, the first goal, 16 passes, back, forward, side. Sometimes you think, come on, speed the play up, but you've got to work them. West Brom, a dogged side, conceded the least in the league. And then the final third, when you're getting that final third, quick play, and I think that's shown. And I think the second goal was 26 passes. Now, don't get me wrong, we can boot it up, flick on. It needs 2 passes to score a goal. But when you're against a dogged defensive side, And West Brom are an experienced side. You need to move the ball, keep it, the quality of passing, possession, and then knowing when to go for the jugular when it opens up. And like I say, you can look at, we keep saying every analysis meeting, well, we'll never always keep scoring a perfect goal, but we're actually not doing bad in the quality of goals we're scoring. So, you know, long may that continue. But it's all it's work by everyone. I mean, we've got 3 analysis guys who are spot on, recruitment. It's a team effort. It's not just what we do on the training park, but the lads have been so responsive.
So how then, I think the last time we spoke to you was either just before or just after the Bristol City match, so you'd barely begun at that stage. So how would you sum up the rapid rate of progress to the point where it's become 7 wins from 9 and you're a point out of the playoffs? Yeah,
listen, progress from supporters and from players and managers, I'll always go on results. So the results have been fine. You know, we've I think the last time I spoke to the press was after the Derby game. And what the main message was after that was, let's not make this a doom and gloom moment, the season's over. Because between now and the end of the season, we'll lose games, naturally, but it's how you react to that. Now, people look back and say, are you sure? But we had a good reaction against Preston. You know, we were excellent against a strong side at that time for 70 minutes. And if we'd have took us chances, we'd have finished the game off. Obviously, what happened, you know, in the last few minutes, it looks, you know, to lose a 2-0 lead against 10 men wasn't great. But when you look at it, you know, it was a really strong performance up to a point. But since then, we've shown a good mentality to kick on and get the points and played some good stuff. So the improvement, I think, is just being, it'll always be judged on results. We'll see what we see at day-to-day training. We'll see people improving, getting up to a level where we want them to get to. And then it's a case of, as I said before, when you're picking sides, it's not trying to be smart. I think everyone knows we've been since we've come in a back 3 or a back 5, whatever you want to call it. But ahead of that, it's been a 1 and a 2, a 2 and a 1, a 3, you know, and that's the way it'll go. And that's not to be smart. We don't want to be smart. We want to do what we think's best. And likewise with team selection. There's some lads we're going into games now, maybe carrying little things where they might need to be coming out. There's some lads who maybe not at a physical level yet to be thrown in for, you know, regular games. But I think it's just a trust in each other, what we're doing and what we're seeing.
And I would imagine as well, no lack of experience, because each week we can paint a different picture. So this week it's a top 6 rival in a Yorkshire derby. It will be a catch-up game. It will be this, that and the other, because it's so close. How important is it that within the squad, most of them, 80% of them I suppose, have been part of this before and at Sheffield United as well? Yeah, that's right. There is experience of that. Only chatting to Ollie Norwood the other day, I didn't realise he had 3 promotions out of this league, you know. So, but there is that. I think, listen, when we first come in, it was much. I think we said on day 1 to him, you know, we won't be doing our jobs right as coaches if we can't get this group of players, you know, upwardly mobile and quickly, because the quality in the group is there. It's more of a mentality thing, a confidence, whatever it may be, intensity. And getting right at it, and you know, up to now they've taken that on board. But like I say, it's obviously results driven. Yeah, that gives you extra confidence. But yeah, there are. I mean, we go into, you know, you take every game in isolation, and I think we can't get carried away with, oh, we're on a good run, which we are. We take that belief, the momentum, the confidence into it, but don't look too far ahead. You know, lose a couple of games and you're there. But likewise, don't get carried away when you're winning. Just, you know, prepare for the next game, do it properly, make sure we're always ready, make sure we go from the first whistle to the last whistle, all the stuff you want to hear from your coaches and managers, to be honest. But it's something that's got to be ingrained into them. And there are, I've got to say, we talk about it. In possession, I'd never had any problem when we came here with the quality that's in the group. Out of possession, I think we've improved on that. And just hopefully the mentality that every game is winnable, and that's what we've got to do. And if we have a setback, can't wait to get back out on the training ground, on the pitch to rectify what's ever gone wrong. And that was the case after Derby. It certainly was the case after Preston. And game by game. However, a Yorkshire derby against another top 6 challenger, big game that, isn't it? You're going to be well backed. The away end will be full.
The away support's been fantastic. There's no doubt about that. It's been brilliant. The home fans, the home support's getting there. They're finding the voice, which is great, because when I first came in, you know, I know it's been a bit quiet, but they're getting there now. And honestly, the fans can't. can't appreciate how important they are, when, especially when there's a bit of a lull in the game, you know. But the away fans have been outstanding. We look at it. I was at the Huddersfield game a couple of weeks ago against Derby, when Derby got a boy sent off after 2 or 3 minutes, and yeah, they did fine. Listen, Huddersfield won the game in the end, but the 13 games undefeated, I think they've got 3 clean sheets, so we know the task there. But we also got to, we're always aware of opponents. We've got to do his analysis on that naturally. But the key is how we're going to approach it, what we're going to do. Focus on ourselves, know their strengths, respect them. But when we go out on that park, it's about one team for us, and it's about how we do it and what we do. And backed with the superb support we'll get on Saturday, can't come quick enough for us again.
So, in your analysis then, why are Huddersfield where they are? Last season, they just about stayed up. Were in real bother towards the end of the season, and by and large, the same group of players, they're now up there.
Fair credit, a good coach, obviously. When I was at Blackpool, we played them early in the season. They came to Blackpool and we were doing okay, and they beat us 3-0. And it wasn't a 3-0 game, but what they did, I think the nil tells you, you know, they've been very stubborn defensively, really well organised. They've got a couple of key individuals. Ward up top's been doing well for them. I really like the kid O'Brien. I think he's terrific. But they've got some good senior pros, and I think it'll come how well coached they've been. You know, but it's a nice big park. You know, so we hopefully we can exploit certain areas. Likewise, they'll look at us and think they can exploit us. But no, I think you've got to say, as you said, because it's the same group of players. It's what must be happening on the training ground. You know, Monday to Friday, which must be doing it, and confidence and momentum keeps going. There's a long way to go, isn't there? So, you know, I'm sure they're saying the same, one game at a time, but it'll be tasty on Saturday, I'm sure of that.